The Republic of Burundi, a country of two capitals, the economic capital and the political capital. To be honest, I was so happy to cross over into Burundi because of the hell that I had gone through in Congo. And to my surprise and relief, the roads got better immediately. I crossed over into the Burundian territory. I was happy because these roads were better compared to what I had in Congo. I was booked in the Star Hotel, which, judging by its standards, I would say was cheap because I had to pay $20 a night, and I had access to the swimming pool and the gym. And I guess I was just lucky that because of the pandemic, there were fewer guests, so they lowered the prices. But right next to the Star Hotel, there's another hotel that charges around $8 a night. I've just forgotten the name. It must be something like Enrange, something like this. So if you're a budget traveler like I am, you might want to look at that direction. $8 a night, access to the Wi-Fi and hot water. Very cool. Now, as I do in every country, when I arrive late, I get to the hotel, sleep, and the following morning I do a city tour on foot. And when I tried this in Bujumbura, the first thing I saw was these little boys enjoying their rooftop heated swimming pool, their jacuzzi. Anyway, first things first, I went out to look for food first. So I took this tuk-tuk, which is a very common way of transportation or movement in Bujumbura, and I went down to the Zion beach because Bujumbura is a city right at the shores of Lake Tanganyika, and I wanted some fish. Zion beach was quite good, but a little spendy. So if you're looking for something, overpriced, if you're looking for some privacy, they have these private cubicles you can just lock from inside and enjoy a romantic moment or private moments. But if you're a budget traveler, you might want to look at a different direction. And so I went to the World Beach. World Beach was very good because of cheaper prices, and they offer the same thing. Good food and a perfect view of Lake Tanganyika. So I think I prefer or I recommend the World Beach. It's better in my view. There's something that I really liked about Bujumbura. I have been to all the 5 capital cities in the EAC or East African Community. And what I liked the most about Bujumbura, or what makes Bujumbura to stand out, is the fact that it's half empty. Less people, less vehicles. Bujumbura was almost half empty when I was there. And moving around town, all the streets were almost empty, which is the opposite of Nairobi or Kampala or Dodoma or Dar es Salaam, Kigali. I really loved this about Bujumbura. There's one thing that really made me smile in Bujumbura, and that was roadblock. The roadblock looked, I wouldn't want to say funny, I would say it looked different from any other roadblock that I have seen through my life. The roadblock looked more like just a wire stolen from a fence and then put across the road. And I got in trouble with the police trying to record this because it was really interesting for me. So I recorded it, but the police obviously didn't find a reason why someone would be doing this. So somehow I was taken in for some few minutes and then of course left because they found out that it was really nothing. The roadblocks looked funny. Anyway, after 5 days in Bujumbura, I thought it was time to go out and explore the other parts of Burundi. So I went to this bus station and the travel from Bujumbura to Gitega took roughly 2 hours, and it is a trip I would really recommend because you see all these beautiful sceneries between Bujumbura and Gitega. And just like Rwanda, Burundi is a composition of hills and valleys, and it's really nice. When I got to Gitega, the first thing I noted was that the language barrier got worse. In Bujumbura, many people speak Swahili and some little bit of English. In Gitega, it gets worse. Most people just speak Kirundi, and somehow it was a little hectic for me to cope, linguistically speaking. And another thing I noted was the many flags on the streets, and this is in both Gitega and Bujumbura. I'm not sure if this shows patriotism or just something they like to do, but indeed you can see that you can count up to around 10 or so flags per street, which is different from the other countries in this region. There are two key statues you'll see in Gitega for two important people in the history of Burundi. So one is for this guy whose name I can hardly pronounce. He's considered as the father of democracy. The other one is for Louis, who is considered as the father of independence. These two figures are important in Burundi because they are two important people, and you find their portrait on the money. And of course their statue is very important here in Gitega because Gitega is the political capital. Bujumbura is the economic capital, while Gitega is the political capital. This is where the former president of Burundi, Pierre Nkurunziza, was buried. His burial here in Gitega is important because remember Gitega is considered as the political capital, and so all their political figures are expected to be here. They feel much honored by being buried in the political capital. One of the things that are usually very important to me when I go to a country is the culture. And to understand the culture of Burundi, I went to GISHORA, roughly 40 minutes from Gitega, and I found out that culturally Burundi and Rwanda are a replica of each other. If you watched my video about Rwanda, you must have seen the three huts at the King's Palace Museum in Nyanza, Rwanda. And if you compare that to this hut in the King's Palace in GISHORA, Burundi, you see that it's technically a replica of the other. Though the one in Burundi is more, I would say that the one in Burundi is a low-budget version of the one in Rwanda, but they're technically the same thing. And of course, cattle are also important. The Burundians believe that cattle help to hide their leader when the enemies wanted to kill him, and that's why they have the drumming culture, because drum is made of the skin from the cattle, which then serves to remind them of how the cattle helped them. Is this story true? I don't know. I don't judge cultures. There's one thing that I really like to do also. When people ask me which country I'm from, I usually like to show them this wristband, and I ask them to identify the flag. I also had a mask in Burundi. You can see this mask with the Kenyan flag, and I asked people to identify. Na hii hapa
Tanzania. Isi Tanzania. Yini
si ndio ni sinaona hiyo katikati.
Hii Tanzania.
Na hii hebu jaribu tena, si Tanzania. Hebu tuchague nchi nyingine tena. Ufaransa. Si Ufaransa. Tujaribu tena mara ya tatu. Tanzania tumesema. Tanzania tulisema kwanza, alafu tukasema Ufaransa. Sasa jaribu mara ya tatu.
Nashindo.
So, I usually have very hilarious moments when people try to identify this, because Kenya always comes like the fifth option. I thought that Kenya was so famous in the ESC, but obviously I was wrong. As you can see, this guy was struggling to identify that. one last surprising thing I noticed in Burundi was a weird food combination. This is not just in Burundi, it's both in Burundi and Rwanda. I saw a very weird food combination. You know, like in this case, you see there's meat, rice, these beans, and chips, or French fries, all in the same plate. I was like, what's going on here? But the fact that I saw many people eating like this, I thought maybe I'm the odd one out. And then in Gitega, I saw someone drinking beer and groundnuts. Like, who does that? But well, somehow you can't question, you just got to smile and move on. After Gitega, I decided to look for a third place to go to because I had been to Bujumbura and Gitega, so I decided to go to a third place, which is NGOZI. And from NGOZI, I went to KABANGA. I was happy to be in KABANGA because most people in KABANGA spoke Swahili, so I felt more home. And KABANGA is the border town between Burundi and Tanzania. So this was the point where I crossed over into Tanzania. So this was Burundi through my eyes, and see you in Tanzania. Bye-bye.